Here, I'll get us to record so we can start, because we wanted to honor the time between 8 and 9, so we're not too late, because some of us have to go to bed. And, yeah, yeah. I go ahead, Resa.
I was telling Cezarina that I get up at 4, so 8. I'm getting old.
No, you're not. Never.
No, what that means is that the hours between 1 and 3 are not sleep hours. You know, like you break your sleep. So I said this was going to be an experiment for me at 8. But
Yes.
I will admit that the energy from her, and then as people come in, it really does make it very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
It's gonna be so lovely. I just already feel my heart opening, and I feel the sound of that whisper of the heart say, "Oh, come on, celebrate, come together, connect from your home,
Right.
be a virtual community of wonder and sound." I love it. Yes.
True.
So I have my little bell. We can. I don't know if you can hear it. I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's loud.
Is the earth sound, earth element, inviting in the mystery from the world of sound to step into our circle, the divine feminine, to show us what are we to do today, where are we to look at and inspire ourselves with and listen to. Yay. Do we want to take a moment to go around the circle and set an intention? Yeah, set an intention. Was Valuria saying something? I heard her voice.
I think it was me.
Were you gonna say something, Valuria? Because you are the youngest participants of the women's circle. I love it.
That's one ever.
Yes. What did you say?
Tell her again.
Say it again, because I couldn't hear too well, and I want to hear
I wanted to tell my mom that I love her.
Oh, what a beautiful way to use the sound of love. Oh.
I don't have face, I only have hair.
Wow. That's exquisite. Hearing the child saying, "I love you, Mom." Yes.
That's the most beautiful gift, I guess.
There's nothing else like it in the world.
No.
And I'm here because I want to enjoy your presence, your divine presence, and to bath myself into this sound that I'm sure is going to bless us all tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because I couldn't be anywhere else. If somebody's going to meet about sound, then I want to be there. And I had curtailed a lot of my work with sound until quite recently. And then when Cezarina and I connected, it occurred to me that I had been missing a huge amount of joy in not using and being alive with that connection to sound or acknowledging it. So it's been very much fun to explore that again.
Beautiful.
I saw these threads, Lisa, as you're speaking, when we come together, however many of us, the threads from our hearts, the joy threads, are weaving literally like someone is knitting. An invisible hand of the universe is knitting these threads from one heart to another as we speak. And a beautiful mandala, appears of joy. What about you, Lisa? What's your intention tonight?
Sharing and community, connections through Soundwaves. Celebrate hearing and listening, and those neural connections in the brain that make all of that possible.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that exhibit that went around about the parts of the body, where some people didn't like it because you see the blood vessels and everything, but when they did certain portions, I wanted to see, I was disappointed in some of the coloration because it was like when it showed the brain, I expected these psychedelic colors, these vivid colors, and then underneath them subtle, mixing in to give that shadow and the depth of it. Because if someone asked me what the sound looked like, that would be, I would see like very vibrant, almost rainbow colors, and then underneath all the subtle shades that come out of those colors, woven all through the brain itself. So.
What you're describing sounds like functional magnetic resonance imaging.
Yeah. Yes, it does. I always think that someday people will be able to do that without the machine.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'll see it in my lifetime.
I hope so too.
And I guess some people actually see it if they have clairvision, right?
I've heard that.
Yeah. Synesthesia is also where you see the sound as color, or some people have the taste. I mean, it comes as a sense. So I see sound as color, but I'm not at the stage of being able to do the magnetic resonance. It looks like neon tubes inside the body to me when I'm working with people.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Do you close your eyes and you perceive the colors that way, or you actually see them in your mind's eye, or physically see them?
No, and it's. I use the word see. I don't know if that's. When someone has a vision and they see it, there's a clarity to this is the scene. So I hear the sound and I see this color, but if you, I don't know how to explain how I see it, I guess is the way to put it, because it may be this color. But it is the texture of the color. I don't know if that can explain it. So that I recognize this color. And then the idea is that based on where it is, whether that's the color that should be present. So then the sound is brought in to balance and to mitigate any hot spots or dissonance within the person, within their system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot lately because it does look like neon tubes in my, that's how I can qualify it. But when you ask me, do I truly see the color? I'm like, well, do I? It's definitely not. I mean, there's a place where I can keep my eyes open or closed. I'll still have the color with the sound.
It's beautiful. This extra perception of the presence of the color in the sound, yeah.
Right. And then all tones. Notes have colors, but the tonality brought to the note changes the color.
Mm-hmm.
So you have yellow, you have bright yellow, canary yellow, mustard yellow. So the tone, the main tone is yellow, and each tonality changes that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So many subtleties to everything. Yeah. And just today on Facebook, someone was sharing an article about the power of silence, and how they used it on mice. They gave mice 2 hours of silence a day, and they noticed this improvement in the brain. And it was just, and I was thinking, my goodness, no wonder, quite a few of us. I've been craving silence for a long time. I thrive in silence, and this rejuvenation of the brain, this rejuvenation of your nervous system that takes place, it's taking place, but to actually have it measured, how beautiful. Science actually backing up this, affirming this power of, and what is silence? Is it really silence? Because to me, silence is filled with sounds. It's just filled with music from other spaces. And the communication with the self, with the soul, with the intuition and the answers you receive in silence, more so than when you're trying to have conversations with others. Yes.
I think that's why silent retreats are so popular, because people find it hard to reach silence in their everyday life a lot of times. So then if they can, even if it's for 3 days, just to give that expanse. I have a friend who made the commitment a number of years ago to go to a 5-day silent retreat once a year. And she chooses different times, so it doesn't become this thing where it's always at the same time, and it has definitely given her an opening into sound that was partially closed for her before. And she's a master gardener, so there's a place where for her sound is all about growing and plants and that's the resonance in her life, the true part that is her main resonance.
Well, we're talking earlier, Resa, about how no sounds are accidental, and I would love to hear more about that, or just see when we say that, what comes up for us. No sounds, absolutely no sounds are accidental. They all have a meaning and a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
The voice we hear now when we're speaking with each other, the truck driving by the road, the child screaming in a house next to us. Anything and everything is life itself communicating in some way, trying to get attention, right?
Yes. I really believe that, because we talk about automatic responses, and sometimes sounds are automatic responses for us when something happens. You get hurt. Now, sometimes the sound you make is high. Ah! Sometimes it's low. Oh! they're different. Think of the tones of those sounds. They're very different. And some of them we clench when we say them as if we're protecting something, and others we move our hands toward the space that has pain or that we perceive as injured. So if true resonance flows and we've made that sound, then it's flowing down through us, and sometimes people admit that their hands feel warmer once they've done that. Especially I've injured my knees several times, and I can honestly say that one of my early experiences with sound was going, ah, and reaching for my knee because I was in a road race. And just taking a breath and feeling my palms start to vibrate, and realizing that they were heating up. So I put them closer, and then as they were heating up, I started singing. And I made it through the rest of the race, and then just used it to treat, because I could see that it was like someone had shot a spike of red down through the knee, and the tones were more blues and browns to ground down that pain, take it out and push it down. And I'm not saying that I was first or, I was an extreme performer. I got through it and to the other side, so, I didn't have to ride in a cart or go. And sometimes just in everyday life, people will make subtle sounds and you'll go, what is that? And they'll go, this is not just a sound. And my husband and I have a running joke now. If either of us makes a sound and the other one goes, well, what was that? And sometimes we're aware enough to be able to say what it was, and where it came from. So that's it. So that idea, and when babies sound, how they make all these different sounds, and some of them are repetitive and some aren't. And then you try to, like, some of them are so joyful and others are kind of like, I already know anger. I have anger. I know it. I don't like that. Or whatever it is. And then other times it's a whole language that you watch the parents interact and they understand it. There's we teach young children sign language now, but even without that, you could see this communication piece that grows between parents or caregivers and the children. So
if a word is a bridge that's taking us to another world, how could they experience that today? So we could go around and use a word, a random word, and experience the word itself, one word, as a bridge to something new that we haven't tapped into, because it's a whole world beyond that bridge. We're over here, there's the bridge, but we don't know what's beyond the bridge. And could we play with that? I love that idea. How could they play with that? It's an energy. So every word is an energy. How could we take that bridge energy and somehow peek beyond to see where it's taking us today? Because to me, this is mastering the art of understanding resonance and discovering what's the gift of sound for us, because sound is a miracle. Sound is not just sound, like la 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 la, I'm making la sounds. Something is making the sounds through this voice, this throat. And I'm curious why that sound and not the other sound. So what word could we use? Could you give an example, maybe? Anyone has an example of a word, any word, that we could tap into its power by listening to it, hearing it?
Hmm.
Magic.
Mm.
I think that could open the door to so many possibilities, to so much that it's beyond this world.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to let it happen and make space for it to come into our life.
Mm-hmm. If I was to taste that word, it almost has a taste of a rainbow sorbet. like a cup with a rainbow sorbet, and I'm just tasting.
But it's even funnier because the first word that came to my mind was rainbow, but then I thought, well, I like magic. Cezarina combined them perfectly today. So.
Well, I was trying to close my eyes and see what the word magic brought me. If it's a bridge, where is it taking me?
Yeah, in my mind was a rainbow bridge.
Wow.
So that supports that resonance or vibration begins with the thought.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be spoken aloud.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Our one word experiment. There's an old story about the giraffe's tent and how the hummingbird flies all the way to the top of this tent that covers the world and pokes so that the stars can let the light in. And there's a place where the word magic reminds me of just this huge expanse of blackness, that midnight blue blackness, and then that image of that bird, that beautiful tiny bird pecking at it to draw the light in. You know, and you think about the sound of a hummingbird's wings, those little, and it's this one little bird, but in that infinite stillness until that light comes through, that's what the bird is doing, making all this resonance. And then as the light pours through, the sound of light, you know, perfect light just spilling down to the earth.
I could taste those words. I could feel them like fairy dust. And then it's like
my every cell is vibrating too.
Oh wow. Hmm.
So when you say magic, the G in the center, in that sound that it has, forces your tongue up towards the roof of your mouth. So in certain meditative practices, your tongue on that point in the roof of your mouth is set for opening to the energetic flow up and down. And so a word that contains that in the middle with an open sound in the beginning and a closed sound at the end is often thought to be a perfect balance, like an ellipsis. So the word magic, constantly moves between those two energetics of completely open, completely closed. And by doing that is also a representative of the energy that moves up and down in that perfect ellipsis within us and outside of us.
And actually, when that center that you talk about, that is in your palate of your mouth open, you can feel this amazing nectar in your mouth. It's just an amazing taste. Like, it's just amazing. When that center delegate get activated, it's very beautiful.
I think that the next time we meet, we should all bring 3 words to taste. And we should exchange them. But before we meet, we'll write down what it feels and tastes like. You know, what's the texture of the word and all of that. And then when we come together, we'll exchange the words. You know, we can write them on a piece of paper and hold them up so that we're not even saying them to each other yet. Everybody reads it and then they say it for themselves. And then we can go around and see what kind of feast did we bring together.
I like that.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah. You just need to send a reminder, says.
I think we also might be able to, by being able to say that we're going to do that, some people may have an intrigue about the words they would bring. And so we may have a little, some additions to our group for next time. But I love that idea of the tasting of the word and then that texture, you know, and then those pieces come together about what the word is and how it reacts with us, you know?
Or I think words, sometimes when I think of words, I think some of them are like earthy, or they are more nature-like, or like I feel when I walk in the nature, I feel a word. Like flowers or specific flowers that it just brings my mind to the forest right away. We have the one in Romania. It's white, how you call this?
Lily of the Valley, Lacromiara?
No, Gyoche. Sorry.
They're like Gyoche. They're like snowflake.
No, not snow.
It's like a little snowbell.
Snowdrops.
Snowdrops. Yeah.
For me, snowdrops is just thinking of the forest right away. Like it's just the first thing that comes to mind, because I always saw them there as growing up. They were everywhere. So it's just thinking of them being me in that space, like instantaneously. And it's just so beautiful.
For me, bleeding hearts always remind me of the forests. And when I was little, they were so plentiful, you saw them everywhere.
Wow.
And then probably in my 20s, so I'll be 60 in a couple months, so 40 years ago, they protected them because people were just picking them, and they're very delicate, so they would die. You know, you couldn't keep them and reseed them. Except my sister did manage to transplant a couple into my mother's garden. No one ever figured out how she did it, okay? But she did it. And
you must have loved her too. They wanted to come with her.
I think they did. Yeah.
Oh, this magic is taking us in all directions. One word is like a gateway. It's becoming a gateway into into memory.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to on the Facebook page. I'll put it. I have a story, Christina, that I think you would love. It's all about this grandmother who adopts the little girl next door because her father's died, and they plant things together and they go into the woods together, and then, you know, what happens in that process and what the little girl takes away, you know, as her memory as she goes. And it's I have to find it because I do these things called stories in the moment, so they're not written down, they only exist in the moment, and they're created from words that people supply. So if I don't record them, then I don't have them. And my husband recorded that one, so I have to filter through some things.
I want to read it.
Do that.
I love nature.
Sounds of birds, or speaking of that earlier, how the birds are messengers, and to me the sound of your foot as it hits the earth, you know, it could be very subtle or it could be very loud, depending on if you're landing on leaves and or moss, or you're barefoot, or you have big shoes. You know, all these factors that play in, you know, the excitement of being alive to actually witness this miracle of touching the earth with your feet, and feeling this connection, and then just the wind hitting the trees. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a lot of sound, but there is a whoosh, there's something, there's.
And don't forget the sea.
Oh. From the forest to the sea, from the sea to the meadow, right? From the meadow to the mountains, and where else?
Out to infinity.
Mm-hmm. The infinite nature of sound. I like that too.
Have you listened to those pieces that NASA posts sometimes that are the sounds that are in space from the different planets?
Yes.
And I love those.
Yes, everything has a sound. Even neurons firing, they have a sound.
True.
What do they sound like? I have not heard that. Is there a clip of that? I would love to hear.
Yes, I'm sure that there is.
Yes.
There is.
Neurons firing. Yes.
And the crickets. Have you heard the cricket sound on very slow? When they slow them down and they sound like angels. That's beautiful. That's amazing. I love crickets. I love in summertime when they are all over the place, just to lay in the backyard and listen to them. It takes you to a different dimension.
Perhaps the crickets are angels disguised as crickets. They have turned into crickets, but they're in a different world, in a magical world. They're huge, giant angels. Yeah. But here they show up as tiny little crickets. Why not? That could be a story.
That's true. Infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
My inner child is contemplating that, just because.
Can you imagine? They are gatekeepers of an amazing universe that opens up to everything you wanted to make out of it.
And we're entrusted with the power of the sound, the magic of sound. And here we are having this desire to remember the gift and how to use the gift of sound, because it's been kind of, we've been just using it on default mode, you know. We just kind of walk around in all our lives and, oh, there's sound, oh yeah, there's sound, but we haven't done much with that power of it yet, right? And long time ago they said that, I forget, it was ancient Egypt perhaps, where I was reading that they used a particular harp or a particular sound on the harp or a note when someone was angry and rushing into a space. There is a particular person, an expert of sound. They didn't call them a healer or a particular, but they knew they were holding the instrument just for those moments when things got out of control. Someone rushed in, they could have this violent personality, and they will strike on that harp just one particular tone. They knew which sound or which tone, and immediately that angry person will stop in their tracks and totally change countenance, and even almost as if forgetting why they were mad, and shift energy, because they could have hurt somebody, you know, they could come in there being violent and cause disturbances. But just, you know, I read this somewhere, and this was an actual ritual practice in the old times, and someone that was ready with the exact tone for the different states of mind to create harmony, you know, so that things don't get out of control. How beautiful is that? You know, how did they know which sound or chord to strike in that moment? It's almost like a spell. They put the person under a spell. So with one sound.
Actually, they're just balancing them.
They're just, there you go.
Because if they perceived, so if you hear a symphony and then someone comes in and it's the wrong, you know, they've come in and it's a discordant sound, then you would want to bring a harmonic into that to balance it. So if that's how you hear in the world, then that would be, if that is your piece in the world, then you would have that honed, right? And there would not be all the distractions of television, and you know, I wonder what would be the equivalent of television then. You know, there's distractions in any age, so it's not that there aren't. It's just how powerful the distraction is, right? And often anybody who learned that type of thing in ancient times was often in a temple. So their whole focus was on harmony and balance, and Vestal virgins in the temples were meant to help the warriors who returned from war, because before they left for war, they supposedly left their souls at the temple so that they could be berserkers, fierce warriors. And then when they came back, the Vestal virgins helped them reclaim them. That was one of that existed in several cultures, but the same idea of, if you're trying to help somebody rebalance, you're listening, right? You have to listen.
It's a healing process.
Yeah.
But I wonder how we hear sounds. I'm sure each one of us hears sounds differently.
Yes.
Even if it's the same sound, we still hear differently. We have our own processing of that sound. And I wonder how that happened, or what makes it different for each one of us.
Well, we all have filters.
Yes.
That are developed based on agreements that we made as we came into this life, and on what our soul's journey is. Because there are things that we've already done that may not be meant for us to do this time, but we have a pull toward it. So we have a filter that goes, nope, because that's not this life's journey. And if every if everything has a center that exists for all of us, we all touch that center, but we're arranged around the center, right? So every fractal of difference of where we stand changes how we see, hear, feel, and taste the center. And the richness comes when we sit at the table together, because we start talking and sharing or singing and laughing, and in that sharing of how we see that, the totality of that source becomes resonant within all of us.
That's so beautiful, Sad. I love it. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
That's the beauty of this, what we're doing here. We're sharing stories together and experiencing sounds with the voice. And we're actually, you know, bringing the awareness that this Re-Sculpting the world with sound is not about just singing and playing. Is tasting sounds like we did, words, feeling into spaces we haven't felt before. Our hearts are opening, the joy that's bouncing, like you said, back and forth. But you put it into language in a way that created like a new, I don't know, a new meaning, I guess. So, Resa, so that was, yeah, that felt so exquisite.
Yeah.
Wow, I have to go back to this recording later and write this out, what you just said. It's going to be a quote. It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful, yeah.
I have to extract the essence of that truth. Oh, it's so beautiful.
But I think that what you're talking about, how we hear it differently, that's what expands. We've almost in the world today lost the art of discussion. You know, now it's become argument. We argue, and think of when you know, classical music has contrapuntal, can be written in these so the things are going, like one's going up and one's going down, and then they go the opposite ways, and there's a place that the music itself is having this huge discussion, right? And you hear it, and you see people when they listen, they're moving like, did they want to go that way, or did they want to follow that one, or which way were they going to go? And well, maybe we should go. No, and then other people are perfectly still because they're not really sure, and it that makes like the hair on the nape of my neck rise, because that pulls people out of where they're stuck and has them start to realize that this is how you explore. There's going to be times when things kind of sound a little off, but then you keep going, and all of a sudden you find the harmony. You know, and if you're not battling, then you can explore what fits and what doesn't fit. And if that doesn't fit now, maybe we put it over here and it'll fit later. Because you know how I love on the harp to play one note and then do runs, and you hear the ones that fit and don't fit. But I love that because people think a harp should only be harmonic. But sometimes people need to hear the sound, right? Because it makes them go, whoa. I didn't like that. and wakes us up. So I think that
we need the darkness to see the light.
Like contrast. Yeah.
Yes, and we all have shadow.
Oh,
you know,
we do.
And
that's why we can shine.
If we embrace it, whoa, what depth, right? Because when we meet someone else with shadow, we don't have to judge them. We can love them because we can see the shadow and we can still love them.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
Wow. I'm speechless. It's almost 9, and I'm wondering where the sound is. There some is there a harp sound? Is there a flute sound? Is there you know, is there a tuning fork sound.
Ooh,
Is there a poem? Yes, is there a poem? These are body tuners. Yes, C and Gs. Yes, is there something? Oh my goodness! Wow, that really hit my heart chakra. I just wanted to say that. It really expanded it. Yeah, that sound went right in, and yeah.
And it all started with magic.
With the word magic. Never know where you end up. If you sound the word magic, 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 it's like the infinite wings. Magic.
Thank you, Cezarina, for sending the reminder, because I just got back from work a few minutes before this started. And I told my husband, I really need to do this for myself today. And he said, of course, go do it, and then come afterwards.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful to be present with you ladies. So beautiful.
I can feel you, Cezarina. You're ready to lead us.
I'm ready. I'm ready to do this and read a poem. Yes. look at these body tuners. They're like, they're so like eager in my hands. Yes. They're like lifting themselves up and dancing. they're having this harmonic, sacred masculine, sacred feminine dance. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So yeah, we can close our eyes and let the sound carry us into some words, some verses. The poem is called Instruction for Life in the 21st Century, and is written by someone named Ni Aodagen. So it sounds like a African name. Make yourself an altar. Bring beauty all around you, from the winged ones, iridescent feathers, world shells from sea's edge, crystals who carry the heartbeat of the earth, flowers culled from the gardens of the world. Light 1,000 candles, watch the dance of their flames. Then open your soul wide and sing praise to all that is good. Make yourself a family in whatever form you see as such, for it is what will keep you, your family, your tribe, from going mad in this madly insane world. Make yourself a poem with words that soothe, scintillate, inspire. Wrap yourself within its power, then shout it from every street corner. The world needs it. Breathe in the moment. Notice everything. Love is all there is. Radiate it. So we made ourselves a family of sound. I love it. Where all the love and the light and the joy of the heart is present, and the storytelling flows from unknown places. What an accomplishment. Is there anything we should go around the circle one more time and share as a gratitude piece, or whatever feels right in this moment as we complete our resculpting session? We resculpted the world once again tonight in a very magical way, I might say.
Just grateful. I feel much lighter than I did before, so thank you. Hmm.
Thank you to both of you, Cezarina and Lisa, for and Teresa. How you say that's how you say your name?
People call me Resa, but my name is Teresa, so
Okay, Teresa, Risa. How would you prefer actually?
Resa's good.
Lisa? Okay,
Risa.
Risa.
Yeah.
Risa and Lisa. I love you
Yeah.
so much for sharing this sacred space. It's just so warm to the heart, and it's so needed in nowadays because we don't have this space and we don't have these reminders
Hmm.
that they're so beautiful, and sound is so important. So thank you so much for creating this space.
Thank you, Christina. And Cesarina, Lisa.
And Valuria, say thank you to Valuria
Yes.
for starting us with that love. Oh, that love.
Yes, that was so beautiful.
Love potion, yes.
Yes.
The love potion.
She is a love potion.
She is.
When you were doing your meditation a few minutes ago, Cesarina, I was holding my phone in my hand and I was getting a dual stimulation because I could hear your voice and the vibrations were also traveling through my hands and up my arms.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
That made it extra special.
yes.
wow.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that. It's the little things that are so extraordinary to notice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I feel so full. Before bedtime, I feel so full of magic.
Yes.
Yes.
I can only imagine how my dreams are gonna be.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, let's carry this magic into our world and our week and continue to resculpt, to notice how everything we receive as sound and everything we give out as sound makes a difference. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm constantly in awe now since we've been exploring this. I'm paying attention to every little thing, every little vibration and every little thing. It's like I want to extract the goodness of it, the essence of it, and share it later. Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
So thank you for co-creating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
You ladies.